like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status centralized system.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Flashpoint Radio. I am your host, Jay-Z, and it is Thursday, May 3rd, 2012. Thank you for joining me. Remember, I am on Twitter at Flashpoint Radio, Facebook.com/Flashpoint Radio, or you can subscribe. Those are the three ways so far that you can receive updates on new episodes and breaking news from Flashpoint Radio. Like these videos using the button below, and please share this with your friends through all of the social media you are attached to. We've got some scary news to go through this evening. Alex Jones and the InfoWars team released some information, a document that was found. Some say it was restricted or high level or a higher security level document, but it is found on many different sites, government sites. So this is a real article, a real government document. Please check the links below. Read for yourself. Do not take my word for it. This is scary stuff, and I don't want to be accused of fear-mongering or lying to you. But the headline from Infowars.com, from Paul Joseph Watson, the prolific writer from across the pond, leaked U.S. Army document outlines plans for re-education camps in America. The document, which is titled FM 3-39.40, you can put that into a search engine, and I'm sure that will come up. Internment and resettlement operations. It's over 300 pages long. It's from February of 2010. These documents have been rolling out to Department of Defense contractors on other websites for hiring of staff and people to work in these camps, but this is one of the most damning and explicit documents that they have stated. It revolves around internment and re-education. It mentions things like PSYOPs, Psychological Operations Officer. These are actual quotes. This is actual text from the document. Look it up for yourselves. The PSYOP team also supports the military police custodial mission in the IR facility, develops PSYOP products, gains the cooperation of detainees, identifies malcontents, political leaders within the facility who may organize resistance, develops and executes indoctrination programs. Indoctrination programs. That is re-education. Does it matter who they're putting in those camps? Is that what America's about? Does it matter who they say the terrorists are? Indoctrination programs, Department of Defense, government documents. Well, and some have said, well, this is just dealing with Afghanistan and the war on terror in the Middle East and dealing with insurgents in the Middle East. Well, it states, quote, these operations may be performed as domestic civil operations. It says the authority to approve settlement such operations within U.S. territories is at the Secretary of Defense level and may require a special exemption to Title 18 United States Code, which is the Posse Comitatus Act, which bans federal military soldiers from enforcing civil law, civilian law. It states that it will require an act of Congress or enacting of the presidential directives that have already been signed. Executive orders that have been signed by all presidents for the last 60 years. So if you think it's just Barack Obama, stop being naive. It's been going on for decades. This is the government, not Republicans, not Democrat, the government. The best part about it is this titled, Agencies Concerned with Internment and Resettlement. External involvement in IR missions is a fact of life for military, police organization, government, and government-sponsored entities that may be involved in IR missions. They include international agencies, the UN, Blue Helmets, International Committee of the Red Cross, International Organization of Migration, whatever that is, as well as our federal government, Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, those wonderful people at FEMA. Well, look up continuity of government, go to FEMA.gov, look up all of the NELO, national level exercises they run every year. Look up the FEMA districts. Hey, kind of like the Hunger Games, except in the Hunger Games there's 12 districts. On FEMA's website, there's 10 districts governed by 10 different governors. Yes, elected governors of the states, but the governor of Missouri, Jay Nixon, is the FEMA Region 7 governor. So he, in the case of a civil emergency and a continuity of government and action, will take the command of not only Missouri's National Guard, but every other state included in our FEMA district. Why? Because those are the plans that the government has to protect itself. To protect itself. Well, you say, well, maybe these are, needed. This is a crazy world, and there are a lot of Al-Qaeda terrorists, and there are a lot of radical Islamists that want to come into this country and kill us, and they want to destroy our way of life. Well, first off, haven't they already destroyed our way of life? Why did we let them win by passing the Patriot Act, the NDAA, and all of the other executive orders that have been passed to strip us of our constitutional rights? But, as Alex Jones has been saying for decades, as most people that have been following this news have been saying for decades, it was not meant to be for brown people. It was meant to be for the people that have the guns. And who has the guns? Blue-blooded Americans, red-blooded Americans, people who don't need the government. But how are they going to do this? Remember, in Nazi Germany, they did not go after the Jews first. They went after the socialists and the communists. Because why? It was popular to do that. Well, Mitt Romney gets in and say there's some explosion of Occupy violence. Occupy Wall Street. Well, are you going to be some of the ones that cry out for the government to arrest all of the occupiers? Well, let's see a scenario that might go down that path. We're going to go to Cleveland, where just over the weekend, or on Monday, they arrested 5 anarchists. Look at these guys. This is the new face of terror. Aren't you scared? I tell you what, America, if you call for the government's assistance to fight these guys, then you deserve everything you have coming to you. You deserve everything you have coming to you. Because these guys are either homeless or drug addicts. Look at them. But, turns out, the FBI decided to recruit this gentleman, Shaquille Azir, otherwise known as Kelvin Jackson, a convicted felon, to infiltrate a group of Occupy Cleveland protesters. Yes, they went to the Occupy Cleveland movement last year and decided, well, we need to drum up some fear in the American people. We need a terror attack pulled off by these Occupy people, or we're not going to be able to use this to our own benefit. So, what do? They send Shaquille Azir to the Occupy movement. He finds the most radical, violent criminals down there who, if they decide to do anything violent, it's a criminal act. They're American citizens, and if they kill someone, it's a criminal act. But when the government decides to just define domestic terrorist, that turns criminals into terrorists. What does that mean? You can use international law. You can go outside of our common law and the constitutional protections afforded to citizens. Well, he found these gentlemen and got, of course, as we profiled in the Flashpoint Radio earlier this week and last week in the New York Times, the FBI provided them with inert C4 to blow up a rural bridge outside of Cleveland. Give me a break. This gets goofier by the minute. Well, of course, they used Google Maps, and the gentleman, one of the guys said they're going to put him in Guantanamo if they get arrested. And the best part about it is after they blow up the bridge, when they're fleeing from the police, this is in the indictment, they stated they will throw tacks out the back of their vehicle to avoid capture. Tax. How about an oil spill? How about banana peels? What is this, Mario Kart? Give me a break. America, if you allow them to take your liberties to protect you from these jackboots, these jackholes, then I tell you, you deserve everything coming to you. And of course, the Chicago News stated that they were coming for NATO next. Of course, the NATO summit in Chicago, where they've been sending out memos to the Red Cross stating to get ready for evacuations, telling people in apartment buildings to not be there, flying Black Hawk helicopters low and through the downtown area in training sessions. Yes, they stated these 5 probably below 80 IQ gentlemen were going to attack the NATO summit. These guys said that the anarchists were going to light fires and burn down every city in the nation. Give me a break. Most of us are working. But of course, the indictment, the charges they were brought on were conspiracy, which is one, and this, attempted use of explosive materials to damage physical property affecting interstate commerce. Seems like they really use that interstate commerce clause to restrict us from the federal government, don't they? They come at us pretty hardcore because that's the only recourse they have. That's the only thing that can get them around the Constitution is interstate commerce. Because why? Well, we don't interpret the Constitution as it should be. We use case law instead of original intent. America, please, these gentlemen are not the enemy. They're just patsies. They're just dumb Americans who have nothing better to do than to follow their government-paid moles into getting themselves arrested. Give me a break. This guy is who the government is paying. He got paid, what, $5,000, $57.50. That's where your tax dollars are going. Your tax dollars are going to Shaquille Azir to give C4 to these goofballs to scare you into giving up your rights. Have you picked up on the pattern yet? Have you picked up on it? Watch Alex Jones. Watch Infowars.com. Watch the Flashpoint radios I've done. Just stop believing everything the government tells you. Just question them. And once you start questioning them, you'll realize that they don't have answers for you. And if they do have answers, well, those answers change over time. Why? Because the facts change over time. So please, wake up, America, before it's too late. Just call the fraud for what it is and say, no more. We're done. Call your senator and say, no more. I don't want any more FBI plots. I don't want any more anti-terrorism drills going on in the United States because it's not a threat. Okay? Jay-Z signing off saying, God bless, keep your eyes to the sky, and see me again tomorrow.